Very interesting target. And yeah, this is someone I had never heard of her before. And so
So
she was one of 5 females in the Thule Society.
Yeah.
did they, but did they really design UFOs? I mean, that's pretty far-fetched to believe.
I think they were designed.
That's a little too far to.
Yeah, I didn't have any UFO stuff in mind, and I'll tell you,
Not at all.
it's
Not
it's
at
one
all.
of those things to where at some point, maybe in the '60s, as the history was being rewritten, that suddenly she drew out all the UFO anti-gravity Bell UFO Nazi UFO things, and then it became part of the folklore. But I have no idea because I don't know anything about this woman. So I'm gonna have to look it up and research.
I don't know if it was UFOs, but I mean, in my session, I definitely had people in some kind of airtight suit and operating some kind of vehicles. May have been like Sean was saying, how they would test things underwater back then because they didn't, they weren't actually flying anywhere. But
there
might be something to it. Might be something.
Is there anything that shows? Is there anything published back in her day, 20s, 30s, 40s? Daz is saying no, there's nothing.
Well,
indicating that that those drawings that if you do a search and you see her face and you see those disky UFO things right next to her, you get the impression she drew those. And Daz is saying no.
I'd be happy to discuss it, but I don't think I'd want it recorded.
Okay. Ooh, man.
Well,
all right.
Like I say, that's a pretty far-fetched. If some chick with long hair did a reading and designed a UFO.
Well, okay, so I'm looking at something on, I have no idea what this place is. I'll spare everybody the website, but it says she was born on October 31st, 1895 in Austria, one of the countries I named. She studied ballet and languages, and I had heard Italian and Latin and the occult. At some point in her life, she became a trance medium channeling spirits and beings from other star systems. These beings apparently sent her plans to build flying discs and time machines. She helped found the Vril Society, and in 1945, along with many of her associates, disappeared without a trace. So that
was the feedback we got. So the question is, is there some? Daz is saying no.
As I said, if you turn off the record, I'll tell you.
Well, it's either way. It's here's my because she's long dead. She's a fascinating person. The sessions were fascinating. Whatever she did sounds fascinating. So I'll give her that. I'm not going to try to discredit anything. Mediumship wise or anything. I'm not going to try to discredit it. I have a lot of respect based on my session for this individual, but when we turn the recording off, I'll want to hear what Daz has to say.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The recording's back. We can't do secret recordings and put that out.
They'll be really mad at us. Yeah, they'll be really pissed at us.
So we don't have any private,
That's right.
Yeah,
they'll get mad at us, Daz.
I saw a friggin' UFO. I'm not saying she designed it, but I saw one. I mean,
it's part of the story. Apparently, this is the thing they were into. So maybe she did. Who knows?
I think there was something going on.
She was.
I don't know if it was UFOs, but
interested in UFOs. She had an interest in UFOs.
Yeah.
And I think that I saw Nikola Tesla. I don't know that the guy I drew was Nikola Tesla, but I feel like he was part of the data. And I didn't, again, not my job to judge as a remote viewer, but I felt that connection was legit. And so, all right. Guys, let's roll the dice. Let's roll the dice.
I felt there was a legit connection to Werner von Braun. And
I'm sure there was.
I think there was. Just off my data, not my opinion or not anything I read online. They're just
Nyiam, they all drank and smoked on the weekends, man.
Yeah.
That was their era. There were very few people on this planet back then. They all knew each other. Everybody did.
From what it appears from the feedback, once the Nazis took over, 33 and on, that sounds like they were pulling her into the agenda to pull some information out of her. So that appears to be the case. Daz, what do you know about all these things? What's the inside scoop?
Give it up, Daz. Give it
I
up.
think you guys did a great session, and I don't think my research and comments on this would add to your data.
Oh, come on.
Oh,
Give us a recorded, sanitized, off the record version of what you're thinking. Come on, you gotta just come on. There's this can of beans. Oh shit, it just spilled. Come on, give it a shot. Give it a shot.
Okay,
you can word it.
You will want to edit this out, right?
Dan,
Okay, go ahead.
This is
fascinating target. Fascinating discussion. Now it makes it even more a mystery.
Yeah, I think that's what makes the remote viewing interesting too.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just done blind, and we got what we got. So
yeah. I love the
gives
fact
people leads
that
if they want to research, doesn't it? It gives them something that they can try to follow up on.
I want to go to
Get
researcher
interesting.
now. Yeah.
You're right. No, I love the fact that it's hard for people that are watching this who they might have a sense and understand, like you all understand that remote viewing is legit. It's a real thing. How it works, maybe us as a group could maybe explain that. But if you're not an active remote viewer on a regular basis, what you're seeing are pages of our data, and what you're missing out on is the 20 to 25 minutes of live video feed that we get when we're in S5. And then when we come out of S5, we jot down a quick picture to try and capture it all, or we might write a quick paragraph. But it's really just like remembering the tip of an iceberg of a much bigger story. And I think we could probably be writing books about each target if we could figure out a better way to capture it. Or, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's my perspective.
Well, yeah, we have the largest repository of remote viewing anywhere.
Yeah,
our videos.
It's quite a
over
library.
5 years.
5.5 years of
We have the most
every single
remote viewing ever assembled.
Every
I would
week.
say no.
5.5
Who
years.
has done more? That's published.
And someday, I believe, in fact, Dick, I think you did a video on this a while back that they were already starting to develop this technology, but someday we may be able to actually put something on a remote viewer's head and watch on a screen what they're perceiving.
Well, that's what I've
Elon Musk just
to
did
do for a
an
long time.
interview where he said they call it blind sight, where they're going to let blind people see, and you can, if you want to see X-rays and radar and infrared, excuse me,
Like
something they can
$6 million
see that. So they've already done it. They allowed an image of what a cat was seeing. So yeah, we'll be able to huck a remote viewer in and see their.
Any volunteers?
It's already available, Sean.
They know what part of the brain to look at thanks to my research, but I don't think they're going to be able to get down that deep.
I remember an article from I think it's called American Scientist magazine, where when you ask somebody a question, what's your name? Okay, my name's Derek. And if we're watching my brain on like CT scan or whatever that scan is, magnetic MRI or whatever.
It's MRI, yeah.
A piece of my brain fires off, and you can visually watch my brain say, Derek. But if you said, what's your name? And I said, Bond, James Bond, you would see the piece of my brain that says Derek, and you would see a second piece that masks it. And because there's two neurons firing, the MRI instantly shows that it's a lie. or a deception, not
What if you
necessarily.
believe your name is James Bond?
Well, then there's that too. So so that is a very, very interesting concept. Anyways, figured I'd share that.
Do you guys
Yeah.
see there's a video? It's only been out a couple of days, but it's an interview Russ Coulthart with top scientist called Gary Nolan. And this scientist, he's working on all the UAP stuff at the moment for the government, and he's Nobel Prize nominated. So this guy's got credentials. He said that for years he's been working on looking at people that have paranormal experiences, especially ones related to UAPs. And what they found now through MRI and CAT scans and stuff is that the brains of people that have paranormal experiences is actually different than normal people. And he does tell you the region of the brain, I can't remember where it is, but he's saying that region of the brain actually deals with intuition and perception. And it goes down, he says it's genetic, it goes down the family lines. He says,
Right.
he says you can track it back through the family lines. But he also, he says, what they're thinking now is that and you're born with it, you can't develop it, but this part of your brain allows you or us, because we're all intuitives here, to perceive the world differently, and we see more of the world than some of the other guys do.